So this particular radicalization issue, right? You
Yeah.
talked about, like, what do you think is the impact? I'm wondering whether it has been accelerated by the selective methods of these channels, modern day channels like TikTok,
Oh,
Facebook,
100% it has.
right?
100%. Because before I had to actively seek it.
Yeah.
Now it's like if an algorithm sees that I like one of these things, then it's gonna be like, okay, here's 100 other reasons, and they'll seriously accelerate it. It's like, yeah, they'll make sure you fall deep down that rabbit hole, and it's gonna be hard to dig yourself out of that rabbit hole because you're gonna have to click not interested on every single one, right?
But you won't,
right? So in that way, it can be it can definitely push people in the wrong direction, very easily.
Do you think these companies are doing anything to address this issue? I'm sure everyone is aware of it. This is a kind of self-selection, right? You're selecting yourself to go deeper and deeper.
I think it's hard to do something about it just because of the prevalence, right? And the fact that whenever you do something, people are going to find new ways to kind of make sure it gets past content filters. So I don't doubt that they're trying to do something about it, you know? I just think that it's one of those things which is kind of harder to curb. But yeah, it's definitely like how do you kind of approach something like that, right?
So do you see any parallel with that? Actually, two questions. One is a parallel with that and what you see in US when it comes to radicalization.
I think that kind of radicalization is present everywhere in some form or another. I think that...
Do you actually follow US as much as you follow happenings around the world?
I would say no.
No, okay.
And there's a reason for that, right? Because I'm a lot more subject to kind of be the person who falls down the rabbit hole, right?
Okay.
When it comes to US politics. I'm still quite aware of US politics, and I try to be, but I don't try to get too involved in it.
Okay.
Right? And I think eventually in the next 10 years, we're going to have to kind of, some centrist kind of thought is going to come, and there's going to be some kind of bridge in that regard. Because it's not only that political ideologies, because there used to be people who are going to be like, oh, I'm socially conservative, but financially I'm like, I'm liberal or whatever, or like, I'm like, in terms of economics, I'm conservative. In terms of like social, I'm like liberal. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, we've made it where we've conjoined so many different like ideologies and everything together, and it's like there's a black and white for everything. I think as a country we've gone too far left and too far right, and you need two wings to fly.
So that's great. So how about your friends? Like when you mingle generally in your friends group, like do they share similar kind of worldview and all? How do you connect and correlate with your friends, and then how do you contrast?
Yeah, sure. I think I have friends with various different worldviews. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I'm not sure if you're asking this like from a political perspective or from
generally knowledge, awareness.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And then it's very varied actually. Okay. It's very varied. I don't look for people similar to me because I think that's like a bit of a flawed thinking, right? It's just like whenever I find people who are like interested in something and they're very interested in it and they can talk about it very passionately, then it's like, okay, this is someone I want to sit down and like listen to, right? Like, and another thing is whenever I become friends with someone, one of my favorite things to do is I want to understand like their paradigm, right? Especially when I care about someone a lot, I want to understand their paradigm. And I think understanding someone's paradigm, it means understanding like their cultural paradigm, their like kind of religious paradigm, their socio-political paradigm, right? So I think that's one of the reasons I've kind of been able to make educational videos on so many different topics, is that like if I have a friend from any background, right, I'll take time to become interested in that. Like I'll give you an example, right? I have a couple of friends who are very close to me, right? One of them graduated, right? And he's a Syrian Christian guy, right? He's Orthodox, right? And for a graduation gift, I wanted to get him a Greek Orthodox Bible in Arabic, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I did a lot of research about this. This is a very hard thing to find actually, because basically there's multiple different translations of the Bible in Arabic, right? There's a Van Dyke translation, right? There's like a Maronite Catholic translation, right? And there's like this Protestant translation. And those are the main translations which are available in the Arabic language, right? If you want a Greek Orthodox Bible in Arabic, it's like the church has it, but it's not something which they have for
circulation, is it?
Circulation, right?
Oh.
So it's just a kind of hard thing to find, right? So I went everywhere kind of like scouring for this, right? And then I was able to find a PDF. It was very painstaking to find this PDF, right? So I got that, I put that together, right? And then in a bookstore, I was able to find like a Catholic Bible for him, a Catholic Bible. So I got that for him, and then I wrote him the note, and I I got the PDF thing and I'm kind of like working on. I'm like trying to find a place which will just like kind of print it for me.
Yeah.
I had another friend who was actually like in Syria,
Yeah.
and I was like, hey, like, do you think that you could kind of like get anything for me? He was not able to. He looked, you know what I mean?
That rare, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking.
It's not rare in that regard, but it's not like super rare. Like if you're in Syria, it's accessible to you. You know what I mean? But I think like he was not in a area which was like if you're like in like or like some place where there's like a lot more Christian presence, then it'll be easier definitely. But he was not. You know what I mean? I think that was the main thing. Yeah.
So what's the composition of your high school class in terms of ethnicity?
So I'd say it's like a lot of people from like Hispanic backgrounds, Caucasian backgrounds, African Americans. Not
It's a
that
good mix, is it?
Yeah,
Or is it more dominant one way or the other?
I would say if I had to guess, maybe like 45, maybe even 50% Hispanic. I think there's a lot of Hispanic.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different than here because it's in California, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think that I'm not sure like how that affected like I guess my like global interest, but
Yeah. So just a general question, being a person of Indian origin, first
Sure.
generation,
Sure.
do you actually see the color of your skin? Are you consciously aware of that in your background or not?
I would say now not really. I mean, like how does it affect me on like a day-to-day basis? I think it doesn't do much in my daily life now.
Okay.
Right, that like not Tamil community is a bit better in regards to this, but colorism in South Asian communities is more prevalent and more openly spoken about than in other communities.
Like you don't feel like, because a lot of kids, at least in our part of the world, like you don't see that you're an Indian, right? They feel truly like being born here. I mean, the kids who are born here, defined by maybe 2 or 3 main roads who live here, so their life is here, everything over here. So even though we see them as our kids, our generation, but they don't see it. They belong here, right?
Well, okay, so then that's a different question. Because first you asked like, does the color of my skin affect me? And
No. I didn't mean the color, actually.
Yeah,
Color.
yeah,
As an Indian versus Caucasian versus, that's what I meant, not the color.
I would say no because I am very comfortable fitting into very different paradigms, right?
Okay.
But if you were to ask me, do I identify with being Indian and as an Indian person? Yes. You know what I mean? But is it like when I'm talking to somebody who's not Indian, then I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm going to treat this guy as an Indian? No, because like if I'm talking to anybody, I want to understand the paradigm that they're coming from, right? So, and because of that, I've become educated on a lot of different paradigms. So I think a lot of times people can kind of talk to me and feel comfortable in that regards and not feel like they're talking to somebody who has an outsider's perspective, right? Because like I'm very comfortable talking about a lot of